Since its inception in 1935, the Grade 3 Longacres Mile has attracted some of the finest runners from all corners of North America. As the region's only graded stakes, the mile for many is the race to win. A bucket list item to cross off, the mile has been a lifetime achievement for those that define their livelihood on the racetrack. Few have had the opportunity to compete in the Northwest's most prestigious race, let alone bask in its glory. Through the race's first 79 runnings, 858 horses have sought triumph, with only 76 having succeeded. A repeat mile victory? Well, you might just have a better chance winning the Triple Crown. After all, there have been 12 to capture that honor, and only 3 who have mastered the mile puzzle a second time, and none at Emerald Downs. In 2015, a 4th horse appears ready to join that elite group. His name? Stryker PHD. The hottest horse at Emerald Downs for nearly 2 seasons, Stryker PHD has won 6 straight races, all stakes, and is now having his name mentioned in the same breath as Noosa Beach, considered by many experts as the finest horse in track history. Like Noosa Beach, Stryker PHD hasn't shied away from the biggest stage, strutting his stuff in the 2014 Longacres Mile with a last-to-first victory under regular rider Leslie Mowing. Amazingly, Stryker PHD still seems to be improving at age 6 and enters the 2015 mile off perhaps his best race yet, a scintillating 6-length score in last month's Mount Rainier Handicap.
And Stryker PHD, look at him go! It is Stryker PHD by 7! Del Rio Harbor, and on the far outside, absolutely cool, but we are looking at a superstar here! Stryker PHD for Leslie Mowing annihilates the Mount Rainier Handicap!
How did Stryker PHD become the local legend he is today? It all began when breeder Shar Clark and Todd Havens sent broodmare Striking Scholar to California for a mating with great California sire Bertrando. Born and raised back in Washington, the Bay foal grew up on Clark's 70-acre farm in the hills of Spokane. It was there that Clark noticed Stryker PHD winning races well before he ever set foot on a racetrack.
He was always, I would say, aristocratic looking. He was raised with several other horses on a big field. It was a mountain. It had lots of hills in it, so he was used to running on hills. And he just seemed like just a special boy the whole time. They'd have their races, when it came to feed time or whatever, they wanted to take off and run. And just watching him fly across the field, he usually won. And that's hard to say. Every time I've raised them for many, many years, and you try to go, oh, which one's going to be the runner, because they come racing down that hill full speed.
All that was needed for Stryker PHD now was an owner and trainer. Full of speed and a strong pedigree to back him up, Stryker PHD was bound to attract interest in the 2010 WTBOA yearling sale. So when trainer Margot Lloyd was scouting horses for owners Jim and Mona Auer, guess who landed on the top of her list?
When I'm going to the sale, I always pick out like 12 horses to look at. He was my #1 pick because he was out of a Smart Strike mare, and that's kind of unusual here. We usually have some nice sires, but sometimes the mare is nicely bred, but after all, Smart Strike is the sire of Curlin. And so I said, I wonder how he's going to look, and hopefully, he looked good. I went and looked at him first. He looked like exactly what he is, a nice route horse, even though he was young at that time.
Purchased by the Auers for $45,000, Stryker PHD's future was set. A racehorse he would be. Lloyd kickstarted a media campaign for the unraced Stryker PHD.
And she kept saying, well, the real star in the barn is coming up. Come and see him. He's by Bertrando out of a Smart Strike mare. And it almost got to be a joke because we'd heard it 5, 6, 7 times. We even joke about, yeah, that's Bertrando out of a Smart Strike mare. I don't even think he exists. And it turned out she was right. The horse ran. It took a little while to get going, but yeah, he's been everything. She built him up to be 10 times as good as that.
Superstardom, however, didn't come overnight. In truth, Stryker is hardly a prodigy. Unraced at 2, he got his feet wet as a 3-year-old. And although he lost all 3 starts, it was obvious the gelding had abundant talent, starting with his career debut.
He got to get going as a 3-year-old. We needed more distance than was offered here at the end of the meet for a maiden. So he went to California, broke his maiden down there for Larry, and came back here. And you know, he was always slow, a little bit slow coming out of the gate in the beginning, and that kind of set his way of running, being a good closer like he is. And he just got better and better, and I told Jim, well, if you like him at 4, you're really going to like him at 5.
He was plenty good at 4, thank you very much. Stryker PHD, though, would orchestrate a truly unusual campaign, finishing second in all 4 open stakes for older horses, including a runner-up effort to Irby D in the Longacres Mile. While his progress was obvious, fans weren't biting, as Stryker PHD went off at odds of 40-1 in the Governor's Handicap, 19-1 in the Budweiser, 4-1 in the Mount Rainier, and then 15-1 in the Mile. The wagering public finally learned its lesson in the Muckleshoot Tribal Classic, which Stryker PHD won at 4-5 to complete his 2013 season at Emerald Downs. After a couple of tries in California, Stryker PHD returned to Emerald Downs in 2014 for trainer Larry Ross. A veteran conditioner, Ross skipped the Governors and mapped out a schedule for Stryker PHD to run in the division's 3 route races. Ross and his wife Sharon, of course, are no strangers to quality horseflesh. In fact, Stryker's deep closing style bore a close resemblance to the great Chum Salmon, a last-to-first winner himself in the 1985 Longacres Mile.
You know, he still reminds me an awful lot of Chum. I mean, he just got that same kick, and, you know, his kick might be even a little stronger than Chum's, but, you know, he just sits back there, and when he makes his move, he just flies around the turns.
As good as Stryker PHD was in 2013 at Emerald Downs, the gelding was spectacular in 2014, setting stakes records in the 1-mile Budweiser Handicap and the 1 16th mile Mount Rainier Handicap. This time around, the fans finally were on board too, making Stryker PHD a strong 6-5 favorite in the 2014 mile. His jockey Leslie Mowing, who was looking for his first mile win, loved his chance as well.
I was going into the race really confident, and you know, it's just like I said, it was we had to ride a smart race because there were a lot of good horses in the race. So I just made that one big move, and he responded, and he gave me everything he had. And when I was passing him, I was grinning from ear to ear.
And here comes Stryker PHD gobbling them up. Stryker PHD joins Boyette, and Stryker PHD's come from last, grabs the lead in the Longacres Mile, and Supreme takes command. Up the inside, Twist Grips is flying late. Stryker PHD's won the mile from Boyette and Twist Grips.
With momentum on their side, Ross, Mowing, and the Hours took their star gelding from Emerald Downs down to Santa Anita for the 1-mile Big Bear Stakes, and Stryker PHD nearly pulled off an improbable victory. Racing on a speed-favoring track, Stryker PHD made up nearly 10 lengths on $1.5 million earner Regally Ready, but came up a half length short versus the 2011 Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner. Not bad considering no horse had closed even 2 lengths to win on the dirt track the entire day. As the old adage goes, if something works, don't try and fix it. At least that was the way Ross and the Hours viewed the next Emerald Downs season for Stryker PHD. The plan again was to skip the Governor's Handicap and run in the track's 3 two-turn races, with the third being a title defense in the Longacres Mile. Stryker PHD certainly seems to agree with the plan, as the gelding has made an art form of coming off the pace to win. In fact, racing analysts have been hard-pressed to even call him a closer. Creating his own brand of running style, Stryker PHD is so fast, he's usually in front by the 8th pole.
I don't think we've had one with a move like he's got. I mean, most of the time, if he's going to win, you can tell by the half-mile pole, and that's a good move. And he does it. He accelerates so fast that he makes everybody else look like they're slowing down, and they're not. You know, so I mean, at least so far, everything's been working out that way. But yeah, he's got a tremendous kick when he turns it on. It's unbelievable.
Each time he runs, we learn something from him. You know, it's getting more exciting each time.
Every time it's different though. Yeah, very different feeling. Maybe the first time, we never noticed he come back from the back. But the second time, maybe first he started from the middle, So every time it's a little bit different though.
Like most rock stars, Stryker PHD has quite the fan club, but even he has time for some of his dearest pals. Debbie Hoonan, who was aboard Stryker PHD when he won the 2013 Muckleshoot Tribal Classic, recently visited Stryker PHD at the Ross Barn.
He's a character, you know, and I went to visit him the other day and he jumped right out in the front of his stall. It's like I knew he remembered me. And we got some of him on video of him zipping my coat up and down, and you know, he's super fun to be around and just an awesome horse. And I'm really excited for Sharon and all his connections to get it done, and I'll be rooting for him all the way.
Will Stryker PHD prevail again in the Northwest Top Race? We'll have that answer Sunday when the 6-year-old gelding heads an outstanding field in the 80th running of the Longacres Mile.